Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide News on the network service of the NTA. I am Marlene Ebel-Ame with the news. Let's begin by telling you that the Federal Executive Council at an extraordinary meeting on Monday gave approval for the establishment of 37 new private universities. The council resolved that the federal, states and local governments are now to adopt the Employee Compensation Act to protect their workers. And Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika says Nigeria Airlines will fly before the end of May. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports on this and other deliberations of the council's extraordinary meeting.
More than 40 memoranda were presented before the Federal Executive Council at the extraordinary meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. At the end, 6 members of the council briefed the press on some of the issues addressed at the meeting. Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige says the council approved and directed the adoption of the Workers' Compensation Act 2010 by all federal ministries, departments and agencies. States and local governments are also to be encouraged to implement the same.
With a percentage contribution is an insurance premium, that 1% of remuneration. You pay it and it insures the worker against this workplace accident or injuries. So that is what Council passed today and directed the Minister of Finance and Budget Office of the Federation to make provision for it in the annual budget as social contributions.
Before now, only the private sector is implementing the International Labour Organization policy. On education, the Federal Executive Council approves the establishment of 37 new private universities.
One of the universities is an online university by a woman. We have so far established 72 universities.
Similar to this is the approval obtained by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, a policy on the National School Feeding Program. As explained by Minister Shadia Umar Farouk, the program under the Social Investment Program has increased pupils' enrollment in schools and addressed the issue of out-of-school children. She speaks on the second memo approved by the Council.
Memo that was submitted, which is to seek Council's approval for the engagement of 4 federal agencies for the training of the non-graduate Empower beneficiaries. And this is in the total sum of 14,226,082,000 inclusive of 7.5% VAT.
Minister Hadi Sirika also speaks on the memo the Aviation Ministry presented and got approval.
Part of our roadmap, the Aviation Leasing Company has been established and approved by Council. So therefore, entrepreneurs in civil aviation will have access to lease equipment at affordable rates and within our country, Nigeria. And this is part of the roadmap. So the roadmap is gradually coming to 100% completion.
The Minister of Water Resources and the Minister of State Transportation speak on the memos they presented before the Council.
Today I presented 3 memos to Council. All of them have to do with PPP. The first one is for the appointment of a consultant to supervise the concession of the Dadinkowa 40 megawatts hydropower project. The project was completed in the last 1 year. It's already injecting power into the national grid. It's in Dadinkowa in Gombe State.
The Ministry of Transportation today presented 2 memos before the Federal Executive Council. The first is about regarding the ratification of 6 international maritime organizations, conventions, treaties, protocols, which had long been adopted and came into force several years back. Of course, Nigeria is a party to it, but Nigeria has not yet executed it. We had to bring it to FEC for ratification.
In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted the Federal Fire and Rescue Service Establishment Bill 2022 to the Senate for consideration. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
Plenary commenced with President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan reading the bill from the executive.
The Federal Fire and Rescue Service Establishment Bill 2022 aims to establish and provide legal and institutional framework for the fire and rescue service. While hoping that the bill will be considered for passage in the usual expeditious manner, please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest regards.
Less than 1 hour of the transmission of the proposed law, the executive bill is receiving accelerated consideration and has passed first reading.
The first business of the day is also the presentation of the bill standing in my name on the Federal Fire Rescue Service Establishment Bill 2023 SB 1120.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Fire Rescue Service Establishment Bill 2023 SB 1120, first reading.
Federal Fire Rescue Service Establishment Bill 2023 SB 1120, first reading taken.
13 days to the end of this administration, the National Assembly is transmitting 2 constitutional alteration bills which have met the provisions of Section 9, subsection 2 of the Constitution to the President for assent. Bill number 46 seeks to include presiding officers of the National Assembly in the membership of the National Security Council, while Bill number 58 is to provide for independent candidacy.
Accordingly, Mr. President, the Senate resolves that the Senate do direct the clerk to the National Assembly to transmit the bills, both bills, to Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation for his assent.
Senate passed 876 billion naira as 2023 budget of the Niger Delta Development Commission. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
In the meantime, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies has secured an exchange program with the Austrian Parliament to further strengthen and improve legislative processes in Nigeria. This was when the Director General of the Institute, Professor Suleiman Abubakar, led a delegation to the Austrian Parliament. John Yakuk has details.
Delegation met Austrian parliamentarians both from the ruling and opposition parties, as well as officials of the parliament. The idea is for the institute to share legislative experience with that of Austrian parliament to identify strategies and tools that can be employed to strengthen Nigeria's legislature. This is coming for the members of the 10th National Assembly, with high number of new legislators in the Senate and House of Representatives.
Our parliamentarians who are just coming in will be able to learn a lot from Austrian people.
And there's a lot to talk about. Maybe we could do this at another time or in October when you come back.
The exchange of experience between Nigeria's legislators and the Austrian counterparts is expected to hold in October this year. John Yaku, NTA News.
In other news, a group known as the All Progressives Congress Forum of Legislators says it supports the zoning of the presiding officers of the 10th National Assembly by the party. Rising from its meeting of 14th May 2023, its national coordinator Babangida Nguroje read the communique, which noted that the Godswill Akpabio and Jibril Barrow's ticket, as announced by the party leadership, is nationalistic and will stabilize the polity.
In APC, the President-elect, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Vice President-elect, Senator Kashim Shettima, during the presidential election of 25th February 2023. The forum specifically commend the national leadership of our party, the APC, heavily led by Excellency Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the national chairman of our great parties, and the members of our National Working Committee, and the leaders of our party across board, for not just zoning the positions of the Senate President to the South-South, but for micro-zoning and identifying with His Excellency Dr. Godswill Akpabio, CON, and Senator Jibril Barrow as the Deputy Senate President.
The federal government has appealed to returning and new governors to shift attention from crude oil to digital economy sector for rapid transformation at subnational level. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who represented the Vice President at the ongoing 2023 NGF induction, gives the hint. Abubakar Akwanga has more.
It is day 2 of the induction program for returning a new governors-elect, and the atmosphere here is still charged with expectations to deliver on fresh mandate. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, standing in for Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, reminding the state executives of the need to deploy digital economy as a game changer with self-evaluation.
I encourage you, as new governors, to prioritize this and make it one of your achievements in the first 100 days of your administration. The multiplier effect on the economy is unimaginable. The Nigerian Bureau for Statistics GDP 2022 fourth quarter report reveals that of the 21.04 trillion real GDP figure, the ICT sector contributed 16.22% in the fourth quarter of 2022, up from 14.07% in the first quarter of 2020.
Governors during a panel shared views on how best to run government at subnational level with focus on revenue, security, agriculture, health, education and social intervention programs.
You will see that this job is a job that indeed you must be 100% ready to face. Who are the people you will be surrounding yourself with? What is the quality of a team you want to build?
The budgeting process is a big learning curve for me in your state. We may decide this is what we want to do for the people, but you must make that process participatory.
For the inductees, the task ahead may be daunting, but hopes will be kept alive in meeting campaign promises in the midst of scarce and competitive resources. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
We now join Adiola Komiakere in our Lagos Network Center for trending stories from that axis. How is Lagos doing today, Adiola?
Lagos is cool, the atmosphere is so welcoming. You're welcome to Lagos. Hilda Baci has broken the Guinness World Record of 87 hours 45 minutes cookathon held by an Indian chef, Lata Tondon, in 2019. Larry Bilei reports that Hilda also sets a new record of 100 hours 40 minutes of cooking for 4 days.
It's been 4 days with intermittent break of 30 minutes for every 6 hours of cooking for 27-year-old chef Hilda Baci to beat the Guinness World Record of Cookathon of 87 hours 45 minutes held by Lata Tondon in India. To it all, Nigerians came to cheer Chef Hilda at every juncture of her feat.
Like, it could only be something that I would imagine my wildest dreams, and I'm glad that I'm here to see her do this. I mean, even watching her online on live, I couldn't watch for long because I felt the pain, I felt the resilience. I just think that at this point, it's just her mind that is working.
She did not disappoint, dishing out more than 250 meals for Nigerians to eat. Perhaps it's the training she has gotten over the years while she cooked, says Hilda's mom, who is also a chef, or it runs in the family.
When she is tired, and once I keep sitting here and she said, call mommy, and when I go, I stand here, you can do it. Even when I know it's difficult, but I cannot at that point say, come down, back out.
Remarkable feat, but certifying our place on the prestigious Guinness World Record will be determined by review of all evidences. In Lagos, Larry Bilei, NTA News.
world of peace, solidarity and harmony remains sacrosanct to any society. Interestingly, this is what the world truly needs at present to eliminate all forms of discrimination and intolerance, including those based on race, color, gender, language, religion, political or other opinion like ethnic and social origin. Correspondent x-rays ways in which people can live together in peace and achieve common goals.
Nigeria is a heterogeneous nation, so the need for peaceful coexistence among its citizens is essential for socio-economic development. The International Day of Living Together in Peace, marked on May 16 every year, is a good opportunity to bring to the fore factors that can affect peace, unity, and love for one another.
And it's to that extent you now understand and appreciate the essence of having man living in a society that recognizes all the rights accruable to any human being, not only to live at peace with himself, at peace with his inner being, and at peace with his not just neighbors, but also with his environment.
How can Nigerians embrace peace despite their differences?
When something happens, we will not allow it to expand. We will try to calm down everybody.
As much as we also want to live with people, people need to also live with us. You know, and it is when there is justice, when everybody sees that, okay, if there is anything that's happening to me, if I take it to this place, I'll get justice. That's when the society will be good.
Ending racism and building peace is the theme of the 2023 International Day of Living Together in Peace. It is aimed at strengthening principles of peace in societies and fostering respect for human rights. It is also to promote fundamental freedom for all without differences and global cooperation for problem solving. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
And still talking about living together in peace, constant dialogues amongst the Nigerians, regardless of ethno-religious orientations, socio-cultural and political affiliations, have been identified as panacea to peaceful coexistence. The senior pastor of Trinity House, Itwa Ighodalo, stated this while speaking as guest on NTA's current affairs program, Panorama, on living together in peace. He emphasized the need for Nigerians to imbibe the spirit of love and genuine forgiveness for one another.
One of the reasons why there's no peace is because some people feel slightly superior to others for whatever reason. By reason of color, by reason of gender, by reason of race, by reason of ethnicity, by reason of what they consider superiority in wealth, or in power or access to power. So once people begin to have those kinds of thinking, then they start to lord it over others and challenge the rights of others.
Ighodalo further advocated mending fences and building bridges for peaceful coexistence and national development.
Various parties that feel slightly aggrieved. The second is to educate our leaders and our politicians that we are first of all Nigerians before we are anything else. And the right to every Nigerian to live in any part of Nigeria and to aspire to the benefits of where they live, including political office, should be totally sacrosanct. If we need to change our constitution to enable this, then we must do that. What has been a little bit missing in Nigeria is that nationalistic feeling that we are Nigerians.
I earlier had that interview with the senior pastor, Trinity House, Itwa Ighodalo, on Panorama today. Moving on now, Lagos State Magistrate Court sitting in Yaba has granted the bail application of Afrobeats musician Seun Kuti, who was arraigned for assaulting a police officer in a viral video. Joel Pokuola reports that the bail is however actionable after 48 hours to allow investigations of the accused by the police. Seun Kuti was arraigned on counts bordering on assault of an officer of the law, as seen in a viral video on various social media platforms. The prosecuting counsel had requested that the court allow it to keep the accused in custody for 21 days for investigation and equally oppose the bail application of the defendant. After argument by both the defense and prosecuting counsels, the court granted bail application in the sum of 1 million naira with 2 sureties in like sum, but actionable after 48 hours in police custody. The case has been adjourned till the 22nd of May 2023. You're still watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Do not forget that you can follow this broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. There will be more reports after this break from Port Harcourt with Babari. To stay with us.
The federal government has made quite a great investment in the last 8 years in its social investment program intended to ensure more equitable distribution of resources among the vulnerable population in Nigeria. Experts are delighted with the programs but views efficient monitoring and evaluation as key areas of focus for the incoming administration. Kingsley Amaji reports.
The National Social Investment Program is a social welfare program created by the federal government in 2015. The key objective is to bring about some level of equitable distribution of resources to the poorest of the poor and in turn create wealth. While the Empower targets young Nigerians via job training, education with monthly stipend, Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program seek to create micro-lending for entrepreneurs. There is also the conditional cash transfer and the school feeding program.
We need more people to start being involved in this program. It's really benefiting a lot of people, and there are still yet a lot of people that are yet to benefit from the program.
Experts are of the view that the programs have had positive impact on some of the target groups and should be sustained by the incoming administration.
I have serious of my students who benefited from the Empower, and then actually at the end of the program, some of them were able to establish on their own.
If government actually wants to tackle all these issues, or wants to roll out these beautiful ideas that they have, then they should think of how to get to the real beneficiaries.
Let them open up small-scale schemes.
The concern to some is that not all the target group appear to be knowledgeable about the program. Hence, the administration is to put a mechanism for proper resource distribution to the right target group and evaluation for results to be achieved. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The Cross-Vested Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested 21 suspected illegal miners in Obaliko local government area in a joint operation with the officials of the Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. Uduaketem reports that the arrest by the security agents is to tackle illegal mining activities while protecting the nation's mineral resources.
The Social Investment Program is a social welfare
always been a metal of value and wealth, and so mining for this solid mineral is a lucrative business which illegal miners are taking advantage of the site to explore until 11th of May 2023 when they ran out of luck. The suspects, who were allegedly operating in Utanga community Obaniku local government area of Cross River State were arrested by a team of operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps with officials of the Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. The 21 suspects being paraded were arrested with various equipment like machines, spade and other equipment used for the illegal mining.
Communities are complicit in this illegal mining, forgetting the problems that can come out of it, problems of insecurity. So you need to approach the Federal Mines Office, get a license, let them put you through as to what you need to do.
The Federal Mines Officer crossed field for further enable the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development perform its task, even as he also hinted that the federal government has established barite processing plants in Yana local government area to boost production in the mines and steel industry.
Government have been trying, but we just need more funding. So we're just sending a message to them to let them know that the ministry now has zero tolerance for illegal activity, and we have started and we're going to continue with the raid.
The Federal Mines Officer called on some miners in Cross River State to renew their license and pay royalty for successful operations. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
And as our beat from Port Harcourt is back to Nolin in Abuja for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Dibabari. And still talking security, the Department of State Services, DSS, the Nigerian Army and the Nigeria Police Force have raided hideouts of terrorists in parts of Kaduna and Kano states. A statement by the service says, during the Kaduna raid, the terrorists deployed improvised explosive devices, IEDs, against the fighting forces. One of the terrorists, who wore suicide jacket, blew himself up, while 3 suspects were arrested with 2 suicide jackets, 1 AK-47 rifle, a pistol and a laptop. Similarly, 2 suspects were arrested in Kano with 1 pistol, 11 mobile phones, 2 hand grenades, 1 fully charged AK-47 magazine, 2 empty AK-47 magazines, 1 Peugeot 307 car with an ID card belonging to a suspect at large. Gathered intelligence had earlier revealed that high-profile terrorists were regrouping in the northwest to carry out dastardly acts in the area. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has confirmed the demise of its staff, Inspector Abel Issa Dixon, who died on the 7th of this month at the Usman Danfodio University Teaching Hospital, Sokoto. The head of media and publicity of the commission, Wilson Wajarin, while briefing the media, confirms that the incident occurred after the deceased agreed with 2 other officers of the commission over procedures for the custody of items belonging to a suspect in detention, which led to a scuffle and the deceased sustaining injuries. Mr. Wajarin says the 2 officers involved in the incident have been suspended by the commission and handed over to the police for investigation and prosecution.
Is that a 2-count holding charge bordering on criminal conspiracy and culpable homicide has been filed against them at the Chief Magistrate Court in Wiwa, Sokoto. Both offences are punishable under sections 60 and 111 of the Sokoto Penal Code Law 2019. Without prejudice to the investigation by the police, the officers will face further disciplinary actions upon the conclusion of police investigation.
The body of the late officer has been buried on Saturday, 13th of this month in Jos, Plateau State. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says aside the 2,518 Nigerian students successfully evacuated from Sudan, additional 160 Nigerians are still being profiled for immediate evacuation back to the country. Director General of the agency, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, stated this while briefing the media on the evacuation exercise. Ilyasu Aliyakubu reports.
The military rivalry war that erupted in Sudan left many countries of the world jostling for safe evacuation of citizens. The Nigerian government directed the immediate evacuation of our nationals, especially students who got trapped in the crisis. The Director General National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, alongside other sister agencies, were physically on ground in Egypt to oversee the evacuation. This press briefing is to give update on how far the committee has gone on the evacuation exercise. The NEMA boss said though the exercise had experienced some diplomatic challenges on the usage of Sudan and Egypt borders, the federal government paid $9 for each Nigerian to leave Sudan and $25 to enter Egypt. He appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for the immediate release of funds for the speedy evacuation exercise.
Negotiations for the transportations were done under tense and conflict circumstances. But we thank God that we are able to succeed.
The DG NEMA is optimistic that every Nigerian still willing to leave the war zone and come back home will surely be profiled for immediate evacuation. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
The Federal Commissioner for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, has flagged off distribution of relief items for refugees in Oron local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Ruth Agwele reports that this was during her 5 days visit to different states on border operations towards repositioning the Commission and strengthen response of refugee management in the country.
These are internally displaced persons in Udung Okong in Oron local government area of Akwa Ibom State. They are displaced as a result of communal clashes and have lived in this camp for more than 13 years. Patrick Okong, who is a farmer, says fishing, which is their main occupation, has been cut short as a result of the challenges they face. The community leader, while giving highlight of their ordeal, appealed to the federal government to facilitate their return home. As part of activities for the 5 days working visit of the Commission to assess border operations and impact of interventions to strengthen national response of refugees management across the country, the Federal Commissioner flagged off relief items for the refugees and IDPs to alleviate their plight for sustained livelihood.
We will commit to the rehabilitation, integration and resettlement of our persons of concern. This is not a one-day journey. It's a process, but it's going to be a collective effort. Everybody has a role to play.
Since ever we have arrived here, this is the first time that I had this kind of information that you must do good and you are the owner of new materials.
For the women of Bakassi, especially in Oro and Akwa Ibom State, we are very, very excited because of the gift that has been given to us from the National Commission for Refugee.
Oron local government area is host to 7 refugee settlements, and a stop at one of the temporary settlements was to give them a ray of hope, because when there is life, hope is definite. In Akwa Ibom, Ruth Agwele, NTA News.
Fatima is in Makudi for more on Nationwide. Hello, Fatima.
And welcome to Makudi. A 4-day workshop on the future improvised explosive device challenges and threats mitigation is ongoing at the Nigerian Army School of Military Engineering, NASME, Makudi. It is aimed at overcoming the impact of improvised explosive device in the operation of the Nigerian Army in the fight against insurgency in the country. Moses Adonai, Commander Operation Wild Stroke, Major General Sonny Igbimewanyia, represented the Chief of Army Staff, General Farouk Yahaya.
The workshop is aimed at enhancing the capacity of participants of the Nigerian Army Engineers, other corps, and sister agencies in modern, adaptive, and proactive ways of countering improvised explosive devices, IED, across the country. According to the first commander, Operation Wild Stroke, Major General Sonny Igbimewanyia, the impact of IED in the smooth operation and total annihilation of insurgents at various flashpoints cannot be overemphasized.
Techniques and procedures of the insurgents and other violent extremist groups in emplacing or actuating IEDs keeps evolving. Thus remained for this workshop to refresh the participants, share field experiences, and brainstorm on possible proactive means of countering the menace of IEDs. I join you to take maximum advantage of this workshop to build capacity and develop competencies. I am hopeful that the intellectual discourse during this workshop will provide useful policy options for contemporary and future counter-improvised explosive devices operations.
The workshop is expected to focus on capacity development in CIED operations, the Nigerian Army effort on counter-improvised explosive devices, evaluation of IED innovations, and the Boko Haram ISWAP IED system. To achieve the set targets of disseminating the remnants of Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists across the country, the Chief of Army Staff charged participants to remain committed in the discharge of their duties. From the Nigerian Army School of Military Engineering, Makudi, Moses Ajao-Odi, NTA News.
The Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 4, Musa Haladu, has harped on employing technology-driven strategies to combat criminality in the zone. He stated this when he visited Governor Samuel Otom in Makudi. Charles Abba reports.
The 40th Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 4 Headquarters, Musa Haladu, noted that Governor Samuel Otom has continued to support security agencies in the state to effectively tackle insecurity. He emphasized the need to imbibe technology-driven strategies to proactively prevent criminality.
Driving policy is what is going to help the police. Look at if the result that the NTA is giving is because of their plan, results, and what? Statistic, which is driven by technology.
Governor Samuel Otom, who described the AIG as an experienced officer, congratulated him on the assumption of office as AIG Zone 4. He stated that the police is key in respect of the rule of law, intelligence gathering, and using such to tame the tide of vices. The governor lamented the recent upsurge of attacks on communities of Benue and maintained that a number of security personnel have paid the supreme price in the protection of lives and property of the citizenry in the state.
We have always encouraged the people to work with the police. The police are there to keep peace. The police are for us, wherever they come from. They mean well, and we must always support them to ensure they succeed in their tasks of duty.
He pledged continuous support to the police and other security agencies to deliver on their mandates. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
And that's it from Makudi. Nationwide continues with Nolin in Abuja after this.
Thank you for staying with us on Nationwide, and this is Abuja. Collapsed portion of the Ogwashi Uku Bridge has cut off the people of Warri and its environs from Asaba, the Delta State capital. Susan Esu, who visited the area, brings us a situation report.
This bridge has fallen because of rainfall, and this place is a hill. So when the flood comes from the up there, it comes from this way down to this place, it makes it jam-packed, and this place is very soft.
This is a major road that leads to Warri, to Asaba. It's a major road, it's a federal road for that matter.
it leads to so many communities, like the communities across. It's going to be very bad for them because they can't cross over anymore. How can they cope on with their markets and their business?
That is the plight of motorists and commuters traveling from Asaba, the Delta State capital, to Kwale, Warri, Ughelli, and even Bayelsa State. Ogwanshuku Bridge in Aniocha South local government area is the major bridge linking Delta Central and Delta South senatorial districts to the capital territory, Asaba. This unfortunate incident, which occurred after a heavy downpour of Sunday night, has left commuters and motorists stranded, and the only means of crossing this section of the road is by foot or motorbike. However, the state government has ordered the construction company to ensure that the failed portion of the road is fixed for use.
The original underpass, there was a culvert actually, a bigger culvert that allowed water underneath. We had to hold that, fill that place up to allow us walk. Now that we've done the work, all the piles are in place, the pile caps, some of them are in place already. So it's safe now for us to go back to the original alignment of the river and then, reclaim. I can give you my assurance that at the end of today, as we speak, that road will be passable again.
While transporters have created emergency paths on both sides of the bridge for easy movement of people and goods from Asaba to Ughelli and vice versa. From Ogwashuku, Susan Esu, NTA News.
Media executives of public broadcasters in Africa are in Abuja for the 14th ordinary session of the African Union of Broadcasting AUB General Assembly. Onenge Fineface reports that the session is preceded by a meeting of the AUB Executive Council.
The AUB ordinary session is on the way with a meeting of the Executive Council, which is considering reports of the union's activities, financial records, draft budget for the year 2023, organization of the AUB Secretariat, and AUB Summit on artificial intelligence.
The Executive Council has gave a lot of strength to the union. We have the new orientation, and we will, in the near future, continue working with a new method. There are new projects. We have received the go-ahead of the Executive Council.
The Executive Council meeting also considers progress on AUB construction project and launch of the Pan-African Radio and Television.
A big moment in the union, in the life of the union. I'm expecting that our members should be much more committed, and that the public should understand what we are doing, and they should see from the screen what we are doing and the result of what we are doing.
The ordinary session is hosted by the Nigerian Television Authority with the theme, the digital transformation of the world, impact and challenges for Africa broadcasting. In Abuja, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Thank you, Onengie. And still staying with AUB, the opening ceremony of the 14th ordinary session of the African Union of Broadcasting General Assembly is holding tomorrow, Wednesday, 17th May 2023. Venue is Ladi Kwali Hall, Abuja Continental Hotel. Time 8:30 a.m. 3 years after the completion of the Dadinkowa hydroelectricity project, there is anxiety among people in Gombe State to see the multi-billion naira project put into use. Abubakar Adamu speaks with some youth on how the project would affect their businesses.
In 2019, the engineers handling the Dadinkowa hydroelectricity power project certified it completed. However, the 40 megawatts power generated remains idle in the midst of desperate need for improvement in power supply.
We are facing serious setback in business due to inadequate power supply.
Young entrepreneurs cannot wait to see the project inaugurated.
If government, consider this and commission this project,
most of the youth or graduate will have something to do actually.
Well, if they will commission it, will be very grateful, will be very happy, very delighted, and it will be unforgettable because we believe it helps us in one way or the other, more especially for a person like me as an entrepreneur.
Expectations are now growing higher for President Muhammadu Buhari to inaugurate the 60-years-old Dadinko hydroelectricity power project before leaving office. In Gombe, Abubakar Adamu, NTA News.
An audacious President Muhammadu Buhari has ultimately created a paradigm shift for a great Nigeria. This is the focus of a book entitled Who Will Cast the First Stone? Muhammadu Buhari. Timothy Yusuf reports on the formal presentation of the book in Abuja.
Who will cast the first stone? Muhammadu Buhari, an audacious president who has ultimately created a paradigm shift for a super great Nigeria, officially unveiled. It is a 363-page document authored by Michael Odu Sunday.
President Buhari is a true Democrat who has allowed elections to hold, who has not foisted, who has not forced or in any way by crook or by hook anointed his preferred candidate to lead this nation. He allowed elections to hold in his party. Nigerians, let's emulate President Buhari because he has laid the foundation for a super great Nigeria.
Many here agreed that President Buhari should be appreciated for his courage as an exemplified personality who led the war for the rebirth of Nigeria.
It doesn't only talk about President Muhammadu Buhari, it refers to the history, the background, the foundations that had been laid before the president came in. And also it talks about the tripod. What happened to the economy before? What happened to the economy? What happened to security before? And what also happened to corruption? I thought at this point we should put our hands together again for Mr. Obi.
Nigeria, a woken sleeping giant by President Buhari, according to the book, is classified into 3 parts. Nigeria yesterday, today and tomorrow. Going forward, it called for the collective resolve of all towards the task of making Nigeria greater. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Let's join Olumide Egunsola for stories trending in the